Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Maggie. Maggie is one of those characters that isn't universally beloved, and that's just because she has only 4 health, and of course a lot of people mention that she's not that fast, her stats aren't really all that good, and she's mostly tedious to play as, and there isn't really anything more annoying than if a character is slow and tedious and just feels sluggish. And Maggie does feel sluggish, if you play her and maybe you go to yet another character, or maybe you're used to just faster runs in general, when you go to play Maggie you just feel like something isn't right. And I feel the same way. Whenever I play Maggie, I find myself getting hit just a ton more often, and of course that is offset by the fact that we have 4 red health and we have the Yum heart so we can restore our red health. But when you're actually adept or experienced at the game, that 1 extra health doesn't really bring you much benefits. You usually want to get rid of your red health in hopes of getting a lot of spirit hearts, and you can most reliably do that via the devil deals, and because the most devil deals are 1 or 2 hearts, most are 1 hearts, but there are some with 2 hearts. Having 3 health is actually more beneficial in that regard as well, just because it's so much easier to get rid of your health than if you have 4. What happens with Maggie, sometimes you'll end up with having 2 health, and having 2 health is really very, very detrimental to you. If you want to be at a certain point, you really want to be at least 1 red heart, and of course having no red hearts is probably the optimal way to do things. Yeah, but of course that sounds kind of counterintuitive, because why would a game encourage you to have no red health? And that's because of course red health in this game is more of a forms of a shield that helps newer players, but even more so than that is a trade-off, so because she has a lot of health and she doesn't get anything else. So let me give you an example. Of course she has the active item, the Yum heart, but besides that, she doesn't get any consumables. Lazarus gets a pill, for example, Judas gets 3 cents, Isaac has a bomb, and Cain has a key. And all of those things can be useful in their own situations. Obviously, a pill isn't always useful. Sometimes it can actually be really bad, but there's still a strategy to it, and maybe gives Lazarus just a bit more depth on how you can actually use that pill to maybe get a benefit out of it. And sometimes you can just get a really good pill and just break the game that way. Not break the game, but obviously just get a really nice kickstart. Having a key as Cain allows you to open a treasure room that maybe you normally wouldn't be able to open, and having a bomb as Isaac allows you to actually maybe blow up a Theta Drock or maybe an extra Theta Drock, and that way you can get a few more spirit hearts, and that gives you some protection on the 2nd floor, and maybe you can afford to take more devil deals or whatever. But Maggie doesn't really start out with anything like that. And I think consumable management on the runs where there aren't a lot of consumables is very important, knowing which chests to open or maybe which rooms to visit. So there's always that question. Let's say that you're playing as a character which has no keys, and you manage to get 1 key on the 1st floor, and you get a golden chest. So should you open that golden chest on the 1st floor, or should you maybe save the key in hopes, or maybe just to be guaranteed to open a treasure room on the 2nd floor, because obviously treasure rooms on the 2nd floor and beyond have a key or require a key to open them. And that question has bothered me for a very long time, and just by hunch, or maybe I haven't really done the math on this so I can tell you with 100% certainty, but in that exact situation what you would generally want to do is open the chest with a key, because there's always a chance that the chest will actually give you a key back. You also have a chance to actually get an item out of it, and a lot of items in the chest pool are actually quite decent. A lot of damage ups, some tears up, and some utility items which are actually, if you think about it, that's the same proposition as opening a treasure room and getting an item with a key, or maybe opening a chest and getting an item with a key. So in that situation you actually break even. Of course, if you get a key back, then it's just a net profit, because you usually get some consumables alongside as that. But let's say that you just get bombs and you don't get a key, and then maybe that forces you to miss the treasure room, the 2nd floor. That's still no problem, because you still have a few rooms to explore. At least you have the 2nd floor to explore before you can actually get a key. And if things get really, really bad, there's always a chance that the treasure room will be actually next to a secret room. You can bomb yourself into it through the walls, or maybe you can go to the shop again via the secret room and then maybe buy a key there and then visit the treasure room. So there's a lot of options there to maybe consider whenever you're actually debating on whatever you should use your consumables early on. But I think more important than keys are bombs, because bombs have more uses than a key. Than keys in general, because keys only open chests and treasure rooms and shops, but bombs are really useful in more situations. I wouldn't say they're useful in more situations, but on average you can use a bomb and not get anything out of it, just because maybe you try to find a secret room or maybe a 2nd secret room and it isn't guaranteed to be there, whereas when you actually use a key, you know that you're going to get something out of it whenever you use a key on a certain thing. So of course, if you open a chest, you get items out of it, or, I mean consumables. But if you use a bomb on a wall, there's no guarantee that you're actually going to find a secret room. So for that reason, bombs, I think, are much more scarce and should be valued a bit more, at least early on, until you can get going. So is it worth it to actually find secret rooms or second secret rooms if you have, let's say, only 2 bombs on the first floor? And of course that depends a lot on just the layout of the level, because some floor layouts are very easy to deduce and maybe there's only one practical possibility of where a certain secret room can be located. And usually those are the second secret rooms, because second secret rooms are only adjacent to one room, which can also be a secret room or a boss room. And those are rather easy to spot, especially on small floors, because usually there aren't a lot of possibilities, and second secret rooms are usually better because they give you more scores, and also on runs that go only to Mom's Heart or Mom, you always have a chance to find a second secret room which has runes in it, and those can actually contain an AWAS rune, and of course an AWAS rune then helps you to go forward and just get a bunch more points. But the secret room is actually quite tricky, especially in the first floor. The secret room is actually much more consistent later on, but there's kind of a limit. So if you have too many rooms on a floor, it's much harder to find the secret room, just because there seem to be a lot more possibilities. Or if the floor is too small, then the secret room can actually be in weird positions where you usually wouldn't expect to find it. So you need a floor in somewhere in the middle to actually kind of guarantee that you'll find secret rooms. Thankfully, since Afterbirth got introduced, or maybe Rebirth, secret rooms follow a bit different rules, or maybe not different rules, but there are other tells you can use to actually find secret rooms. And one of those is that a secret room must always have an entrance or an exit adjacent to all of the walls where it's located. So that means if there's a chasm on the right side of a possible secret room, and that means that it can be on the left side. So that means that basically if you can get to it without flight, or maybe just by walking, there's no possibility of a secret room being there. And that really does allow you to actually narrow down the spaces of where a secret room can be. And again, it's very dependent on the layout. Some layouts are very easy to figure out, and sometimes when you play a lot, you just get a feeling for where a secret room could be just based on how the room is shaped. And you say, okay, I know that this room usually has a secret room there, so I'll just use a bomb to hopefully find it. And oftentimes that works, like I said, but that requires experience. But in most cases, what happens is there will be maybe 2 or 3 possibilities where you'll have to use it. So to answer my question from before, should you use bombs on the first floor to actually find secret rooms and second secret rooms? And I'll say that it depends. So first of all, go through the whole floor before you actually decide to start searching for it, because there's always a possibility of getting tinted drugs. And in those situations where you have a limited amount of consumables and bombs, you should always use them on tinted drugs, because tinted drugs have kind of a guaranteed payout, whereas there's no guaranteed payout if you find a secret room. Even if you do find a secret room, there's no guarantee that it will actually contain anything. So for that reason, it's always a better use of your consumables to actually use it on something that's guaranteed. In that case, of course, just using other tinted drugs, hoping to get some spirit hearts, or maybe hoping to get a small rock or something like that. But if you have a lot of bombs, or maybe if the room layout is in a way where you can deduce that there's only 1 or 2 possibilities, and you maybe have only 1 or 2 bombs, then I would always say that it's worth it to find the second secret room, because the second secret room, like I said, in this situation can have a lot of goodies for you, and not just, of course, spirit hearts, which are quite common, but also rooms. Rooms with runes, that's a funny word or a sentence, rooms with runes, and those runes are usually good enough because they can give you, the Deika's rune obviously gives you a spirit heart, Yera rune allows you to duplicate items in the shop, which then of course allows you to get more spirit hearts and more consumables, and what you're on the lookout for on every heart and Mom Daily is AWAS runes, and obviously AWAS runes are the deal breaker of any Isaac run, just because when you get them, it's such a major point boost that whoever doesn't find them is in a serious disadvantage. And thankfully, that's exactly what happened in today's daily. On the first run, room floor, in the first floor of the third room or something like that, I found a bomb, or maybe I had a bomb. First of all, I found a secret room because I thought there was a very obvious position where it could be, and thankfully it was there. It contained 2 more bombs, and then I used 1 bomb on the tinted drug, and I had 1 bomb remaining. So I was debating, should I use my other bomb to actually try to find a second secret room in hopes of maybe getting an AWAS rune, just because this is a Mom's Heart daily and those AWAS runes are really, really important. And I decided to do it because there weren't a lot of positions where that could be, and usually second secret rooms are closer to the boss, so that's where I placed my bomb. And thankfully there was actually a second secret room there, and it was the rune room, which contained not only an Awas rune, it also contained a Pertro rune, there wasn't a Dagas rune, but it did have a Yera rune and a Pertro and some other runes, but obviously each of every one of those runes are extremely useful, and the fact we found Awas allowed us to actually go to Shoal, which then of course gave us another floor worth of exploration bonus, so not just exploration bonus, but also we just get a bonus for visiting this floor, and because of that we did manage to finish 34th, which is an excellent score. I'm so glad that lately I've been really doing well in these dailies, and I think I caught my groove, even though today I'm super tired. And I think it's very noticeable just from the way I speak, because maybe I'm not as enthusiastic as usual. But yeah, I really do hope that you enjoyed my talk about consumables and how to use them. This was more of an educational video than usual, just because I did talk on how you should manage your consumables, at least to some degree. Obviously, we can go in great detail and just really deduce if you have one particular key on when you should use it, or if you have one bomb on where you should use it. But this was maybe more of a general guideline, or maybe my insight into things and how I do things to actually get a good score like I do in a lot of my dailies. I hope you enjoyed my rant, not rant, but my explanation. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time.